the only thing in your meat is meat? Think again. Preservatives, binders, fillers, and flavorings are more common than you realize in bacon and sausage. Here's a look at all the ingredients you might find in breakfast meat. Sodium nitrite is a common ingredient you may find in your breakfast biscuit meat. The Wendy's bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit contains sodium nitrite, as does the Applewood smoked bacon contained in McDonald's bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit. In general, you'll find that most places that include bacon on the biscuit breakfast sandwiches contain nitrite, since this is a common preserving ingredient used to cure meats. Sodium nitrate and sodium nitrite have carried a controversial connotation for quite a while. Because large amounts of these compounds can lead to the formation of cancer-causing nitrosamides, the fear is that consuming these on a regular basis will increase the risks for cancer. With that said, it is important to note that nitrates and nitrites, despite their potential risks, play an important part in the preservation of meat. They prevent bacteria from forming and can increase the shelf life of foods. Monosodium glutamate, also known as MSG, may be lurking in your breakfast biscuit meat, though this isn't always the case. MSG is responsible for adding depth and flavor to savory foods by amplifying the taste and adding a rich, umami flavor that can be difficult to resist. Monosodium glutamate has garnered negative attention for causing unwanted symptoms in individuals, though this has since been understood to mostly only affect those sensitive to or intolerant of the substance. Monosodium glutamate is most often found in sausages, so you may occasionally find the ingredient hidden in your sausage and egg biscuit. Still, it is important to note that not all sausages contain this additive, so proper research is needed if you are actively trying to avoid it. McDonald's sausage biscuit with egg and the Wendy's classic sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit are only two of the biscuit sandwiches you may find with dextrose in the meat. Dextrose is a form of sugar and is used for much the same reason regular sugar is. In addition to serving as a sweetening agent, dextrose also aids in the preservation of certain foods. Because of the makeup of dextrose, those who are struggling with insulin issues need to be aware that dextrose is very similar to glucose, naturally found in the blood. It can cause blood sugar surges much like regular sugar, and therefore, diabetics and others who may have trouble controlling blood sugar levels may need to keep an eye on this particular ingredient, especially when consumed in excess. Bear in mind also that you're very likely to encounter dextrose in a variety of other packaged or processed foods that reach far beyond breakfast biscuit meat. Dextrose shows up in many fast food menu items, so if you see this additive the next time you look over an ingredient list, know that it's likely used for its sweetening and preserving properties.
15 double cheese to go.
Oh, not to go. I'll eat them here.
Sodium erythorbate isn't found in all breakfast meat, but it seems to be a somewhat common ingredient in cured meats like bacon. The purpose of sodium erythorbate is twofold. On one hand, the additive helps aid in the curing process. Remember those nitrates we discussed earlier? The addition of sodium erythorbate helps expedite the curing procedure by converting nitrite for an overall faster cure. In addition, sodium erythorbate will help enhance the color of cured meat, often giving it that satisfyingly even red hue we often associate with bacon, smoked sausage, and the like. Still, as with most additives, not everyone will take so well to sodium erythorbate. Though rare, some may experience temporary side effects that include headache, body flushing, and fatigue. If you experience these symptoms, be sure to speak with your health professional to determine if sensitivity to the additive could be the cause of any short-term unwanted symptoms you are experiencing. Have you ever noticed BHA or BHT listed as ingredients in your packaged food? Expected to show up in your breakfast biscuit meat as well. Though commonly used in dry goods, BHA and BHT make their appearance in sausage as well. Their purpose? To stunt the growth of bacteria or mold by preventing oxygen from changing the food. These antioxidants also help to retain nutrients in food and thus are important additives. Despite their usefulness in preservation and the inhibiting of rancidity, BHA and BHT may have downsides. While research is still ongoing, some evidence suggests these antioxidants may lead to cancer and interact negatively with birth control and steroid hormone drugs when consumed in excess. Because of this, it may be a good idea to keep an eye out for these helpful yet potentially harmful additives, especially if you tend to consume meat or dry goods containing these substances regularly. Oh, and just so you know, we've only found Whataburger biscuit with sausage containing BHA and BHT ingredients. There are some instances in which some types of meat, especially sausages, contain filler. These fillers can sometimes include wheat and therefore will contain gluten. While we were unable to find any restaurants using wheat flour in their sausage breakfast biscuit meat, countless restaurants don't disclose the exact ingredients that are put in the breakfast sandwiches. We can reason that since many sausages contain filler, there is a possibility that some sausage types contained in biscuit sandwiches contain gluten. This will prove especially true for biscuit sandwiches containing smoked sausage. Of course, if you're eating a breakfast biscuit sandwich anyway, the assumption is that you probably aren't too concerned about gluten to begin with. Still, we think it helps to stay informed and know that certain meats, especially those of lower quality, will contain filler as a means to save on the cost of meat, while also making sausages and other meat types appear fuller and more plump than they actually are.
Egg, bacon, American cheese.
Rosemary and sage extracts are sometimes found in food, though their purpose may not be what you think. Neither of them are there to make the patty taste good. Instead, these compounds often found in patties work as a preserver for the meat, keeping it fresh in a non-toxic natural way. Rosemary specifically has a very similar effect on meat that additives like BHT and BHA do, yet in a natural form. Its antioxidant-like qualities, along with its ability to inhibit harmful germs, make it ideal for use in items like sausage patties, thereby making your breakfast biscuit Sammy that much safer to eat. Still, you should note that while herbal extracts like these don't typically cause negative reactions in most folks, consuming too much of them might cause negative health consequences, such as vomiting and drug interactions. Even so, the amount contained in your breakfast biscuit meat is unlikely to do much harm, so you shouldn't feel too worried if you see these ingredients crop up on your favorite breakfast biscuit ingredient list. Spices and flavors are often added to meats to make them more flavorful. Much like you'd add seasoning to a piece of meat you'd make at home, spices usually serve the purpose of enhancing the taste of food. Unfortunately, companies don't always list every single spice and flavoring they use, which we know can prove rather frustrating for curious food enthusiasts. Thankfully, there are some spices, like those in Wendy's honey butter chicken biscuit, that are listed outright. Yummy additions like garlic powder, onion powder, chicken broth, and turmeric are just what we want to see, as these are ingredients we'd also put on a homemade meal. Unfortunately, there's no way to decipher which spices are which when companies refuse to reveal them, so we'll just have to accept that the spices are as natural as companies declare them to be.
Garlic powder, por favor.
Citric acid, though seemingly unharmful, is actually derived from black mold in its manufactured form. You can expect to find citric acid in your breakfast biscuit meat, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's unsafe. To be clear, all citric acid is not derived from black mold. In nature, citric acid is naturally found in citrus fruits, hence its name. You can expect to find citric acid in lemons, limes, and oranges, but these are all organic forms of citric acid. Organic citric acid was first discovered in 1784, but by the 1900s, scientists unearthed the fact that it could also be manufactured from black mold. Today, this manufactured version of citric acid is used in meat and other products for preservation purposes, as well as to add a pleasant, tangy flavor to food. Despite the fact that citric acid is deemed safe for consumption, some people may find they are sensitive to the manufactured form of the substance. In this case, if they were to eat way too much of it, a person might suffer from abdominal cramping, stiffness, joint pain, and other sorts of unpleasant symptoms. Hydrogenated soybean oil, along with several other soy-related ingredients, are often found in breakfast biscuit meat. The use of hydrogenated oil should not be confused with partially hydrogenated oil, which is known for its extremely adverse health ramifications, including the increase of bad cholesterol and the decrease of good cholesterol. With this in mind, it's important to note that just because an oil is fully hydrogenated doesn't mean you are out of the health risk ballpark just yet. Hydrogenated vegetable oils, such as hydrogenated soybean oil, can still pose a health hazard, as they may cause inflammation, have an impact on heart health, and cause fluctuating blood sugar levels. Despite its adverse health effects, it's important to note that there was only one breakfast biscuit sandwich we were able to find that made use of hydrogenated soybean oil, and that was Wendy's honey butter chicken biscuit. Still, because so many restaurants fail to post the ingredients in the breakfast biscuits, we are willing to bet that many biscuit sandwiches featuring fried chicken or steak are liable to contain similar hydrogenated oil ingredients. Sodium phosphate is another additive that you may find in your breakfast biscuit meat. And as usual, you probably aren't sure of the purpose of it being there, but it actually has a variety of uses. For example, sodium phosphate may be used to help thicken the consistency of a product, emulsify liquids, balance the pH in food, act as a leavener, or cure meat. In terms of the meat in your fast food biscuit, sodium phosphate is most likely used to maintain the moisture in the meat and extend its shelf life. We found sodium phosphate in breakfast biscuit sandwiches that contain bacon, mostly because the sodium phosphate, as mentioned, keeps the bacon moist and stops it from going rancid.
Would somebody please pass me the bacon?
Still, it's important to note that when consumed in high doses, sodium phosphate can have a negative impact on your health. Those consuming an excessive amount of processed food, including breakfast biscuit meat, should be especially leery of this ingredient, since it has been associated with multiple health issues when consumed long-term. Natural smoke flavor is often added to bacon, so if you see it on your breakfast biscuit meat ingredient list, you shouldn't be surprised. Just as it would seem, natural smoke flavor adds a touch of deliciousness to bacon that makes it extremely enjoyable to eat, even if it wasn't actually smoked over a real flame. Now, we know what you might be thinking. Smoke flavor? Though labeled as natural, doesn't sound very organic, does it? We agree. But it's not like actual smoke is organic either. According to several sources, natural smoke flavor does not have the same potentially carcinogenic effect that inhaling smoke does. And thus, the liquid version of the stuff may actually be safer than smoke from the flame itself. So how is liquid smoke derived? Natural liquid smoke is created by taking the moisture from wet wood after it has been burned. The result is a highly concentrated flavoring that can be used to enhance bacon taste, while simultaneously amplifying your overall breakfast biscuit flavor experience.